Hey everyone, welcome back to WaifOut. And I have to apologize for a couple things. First off, I lost the tassel on my hat. I don't know, must have broken off during the moving process. Who really cares? And second, the one of you that's interested in the WaifOut series is probably like, wait a minute, in the last video, didn't you promise that the next one was going to be a ranking of Suikoden 2 girls? Yeah, well, I'm not exactly happy with the way the Suikoden 1 video turned out, so I've decided to just scrap that series there. But if you were really curious, the top of the next list was going to be Nanami, because she's a primary character in that game, and that gives her a lot of time to shine, both in story and in combat. But we're going back to more of the old traditional means of WaifOut. We got the board, I got the notebook, because memorizing things is hard. And we are going to be talking about what is honestly one of my favorite games, Monster Girl Quest. This is going to be weird to a lot of you that only know of the game but have never played it. But yes, me and a lot of other Monster Girl Quest fans will all agree that the game was not that good, honestly, but the story was excellent. Like, I honestly rank it as one of the best stories in gaming, up there with the Ghost Trick and Metal Gear Solids 2 and 3. It's that good, and that's mostly because of the strength of its characters. You know, you have like your main characters, Luca and Alice, who are done very well. Ilias is done well. The whole conflict between humans and monsters is done well, like very surprisingly well. Like, I understand it was a joke, but I think it was Polygon or Joystick or Kotaku. I honestly don't remember which one it was, but one website had like community voted what was the game of the year for 2013. And while it was mostly a joke, Monster Girl Quest Part 3 almost won. It lost to The Last of Us by like 50 votes, which, if you're asking me, I honestly thought Monster Girl Quest was a better game. I did not like The Last of Us. So, why am I talking about Monster Girl Quest here? Well, first off, I want to talk about it somewhere. I can't just not talk about this game, but it's way too long to review or do anything else with. It's like 60 hours long. But goddamn, it's a game about monster girls. It's in the title. There are a lot of girls, and if you're into monster girls, this game is fucking heaven. And this seemed like the perfect series to talk about the girl that I think is the best. Granberria. One of the four heavenly knights, the dragon warrior. Oh, I didn't even realize I was making a joke there. I just want to apologize for the board being crooked, and there's like a bump here. It's got folded in the year since the last time I've made one of these videos. So, why exactly do I think Granberria is the best girl in this game? Not just the best girl in this game, but one of the hottest girls in any game I've ever played, right up there with former WaifOut subjects Aqua and Noe. Well, first off, if you watch the Noe review, the first point, the most simple one I have, should come pretty obviously to you. She's a dragon. I love dragon girls, I really do. I think this is probably a good time, since this is a serious point this time, for me to explain why I love dragon girls so much. First off, it was just timing. It was like Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid aired, and then like immediately after I played Fire Emblem Awakening, so I was just inundated with a bunch of hot dragon girls, and that pretty much awoke this interest. But, I mean, there's something more about dragon girls. It's, first off, they're monster girls. Monster girls are just better than humans because they're more unique and interesting and powerful. That's the reason I like dragons so much. They're so strong. They got tails most of the time. Usually very proud, very noble. But they're so used to like fighting that ordinary domestic life just doesn't come naturally to them. So it ends up being kind of awkward. Like Elma from Dragon Maid is a good example. She's very proud. It's just she's not very good at what she does. She's not a good programmer. But Granberria, not only is Granberria part of that elite, she is right up there. Like, very possibly one of my favorite dragon girls. I love Noe, I love Elma. Granberria very well may match up to them. I'm not entirely sure, but god damn it, is she close. And that ties into the next point, specific to Granberria and not just her race. She is strong. Not only is she one of the 4 Heavenly Knights, which are if you've never played the game, in which case you probably aren't watching this, but whatever, I don't know. But if you ever played the game, the 4 Heavenly Knights are the 4 main generals of the Monster Lord, and each of them is they were the 4 finalists in a tournament to determine who the new Monster Lord would be. Alice won, but these 4, I think, were the only other 4 that competed. And they proved their strength enough to be retainers to the Monster Lord. But even among them, Granberria is easily the strongest. They all have their specialties. Erobidi is just hard to hit because she's a slime. Tamamo has hidden strength. Alma Elma is all about those pleasure attacks. But Granberria is the one that's focused on true combat. And even since that day where she became a Heavenly Knight, she has continuously trained and trained to become even stronger and to eliminate all of her weaknesses to become the true strongest warrior in the land. What, Thumbs? You want to come in? Aw, God, she's so sad when she meows. Come on in, baby. Yeah, you can hear that. Please don't meow while I'm making videos, baby, okay? Yeah, that's no promise, I guess. Please ignore my cat meowing. You know, she does that. I can't really help it. Where was I? Yeah, she's just strong, and who doesn't like a strong warrior girl? Alright, come on, it's a specific taste, I guess, but it's one that's not entirely unusual. The only thing that sort of puts a wrench in that plan is, for whatever reason, I don't understand why, Granberria's artist does not draw her with muscles. Like, she's not lanky, I guess, but honestly, she looks like she sort of has an average body type, and I've never really understood that. I understand that the idea that her strength just comes from, like, natural dragon power, but, I mean, she should be above that. She should really be muscular. I'm not going to put the picture up because I don't think it's appropriate for the video. It depends on what I talk about later. But there's a piece of fan art I really like. It depicts Granberria with not really big, but very defined muscles, just ultra defined abs. It's a really good picture, and that's more what I think Granberria should look like. So you more have to accept the fact that she's really strong, because you can't immediately tell it from a glance, aside from the fact that she wears armor and she carries around a really giant sword, which I suppose is another good point. She is a sword. Who the fuck doesn't like swords? The best. There's also the fact that out of every character in the game, aside from Alice, who travels with Luca, and Ilias showing up all the time if you fail, Granberria is the character you end up encountering the most. Like, I was reading through the Monster Girl Quest wiki page of her, and it mentions that she's the character that you fight the most times, like 4 times throughout the game. So that just gives her more screen time to work with, and even outside of those fights, there's the time she appears in, like, the Fairy King, the Fairy and Elven Forest, I think, when Sarah's kidnapped and turned into a succubus. Then, of course, there's the entire third part where you're on the same side as her. So either way, she just gets a lot of screen time, which is, it's a good way to see a lot of her. And honestly, I always do like seeing her. She's very good. And not only that, out of the 4 Heavenly Knights, she's the only one that actively seeks out Luca. Like, when you encounter Tamamo again, it's just because you went to the village where kitsunes are worshipped, and Tamamo likes to go there because they give her free food. Thanks for knocking that over, Thumbs. When you see Alma Elma again, it's just because she's fighting in the Colosseum, and you happen to be there as well. But Granberria is the only one that actively seeks Luca out. And that's because she's a warrior. She's the strongest, probably the strongest in the land. Honestly, at this point, where she ranks up next to Alice is sort of up for debate. I honestly don't know. But that, if you've ever seen One Punch Man, that power comes at the price of everyone she encounters being lesser than her. No one can give her a real fight, and she's lost the thrill of battle. Until Luca shows up. Their first encounter is garbage, but she sees he has a cursed sword technique. She thinks that there may be something more to this kid, And every time she encounters him, she shows up to test his progress, see if he's getting any better, and he somehow continues to impress her. That's kind of nice, you know, considering Luca is supposed to be not exactly an audience surrogate, just because he does have a very clearly defined personality. But it's easy to see why you're supposed to take the place of Luca in a first-person game where very clearly all the things that happen to Luca are supposed to be for the sexual gratification of the player. But she's developing an interest in Luca, which sort of translates to she's developing an interest in you, and that just sort of makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. I very much enjoy that. But as I just said, Monster Girl Quest is a very sexual game. I don't want to go into too much detail of what the game entails, or else I very well may have to bump up the age rating of this video, and frankly, I don't have enough fans to lock any more of them out with by saying that you gotta be 18 to watch this video. So I'll try and keep it tame, but out of every single month, like almost, there's the wiki page also said there are 6 monsters in the game that do not have pleasure attacks, and Granberry is one of them, and that's because she has no sexual agenda. She doesn't care about having sex with Luca. It's not her point. She comes here because she wants to fight you. And, you know, it's kind of refreshing. I like the fact that she's an honorable knight. That is not... what's the way I want to put it? She's not interested in such base desires. She purely wants to test your skill. And I kind of like that. Like the honor on the battlefield, that's just sort of a trope I like. So I sort of like the fact that she is testing you and respecting you purely on your own merits as a warrior, what you have learned, what you are doing, and not just because, hey, you're a cute boy, like every other monster in the game. It's sort of a refreshing change of pace that makes Granberry out to be different than the others. Now, some people play Monster Girl Quest because they really want to get into that sexual stuff, in which case, I'm not surprised if you think Alma is the best of the Heavenly Knights. Or, you know, you just like Alice best because a lot of people do. Not say I don't like them. But Granberry more appeals to my taste. A less sexual one and more combat one. You know, I like fighting. So that's my form of escapism. Being a good warrior. Being a good fighter. Because I'm not that. But despite the fact that she has no sexual agenda, it's not like she has no sex drive. If you lose to her, which... considering her fights tend to be sort of gimmicky, though they do spell it out pretty easily, it's not impossible to think you'll lose to her, although you probably won't if you're playing the game normally. If you're playing the game like a Monster Girl Quest player, you're trying to get every single scene in the Bestiary Encyclopedia. I don't remember. I don't know. I didn't do it. But you're trying to lose in every possible way. You're just surrendering as soon as you start the fight, watching every scene, every defeat scene. So either way, if Granberry beats you, it's not like she just kills you and your journey ends there, though honestly she may as well have. I don't know exactly why they didn't do it. Yeah. Got puma skin on my thumb. My thumbs. All connects. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, but if you lose to her, then she still takes the opportunity to, you know, play with Luca, because she just can't help herself. As I said, you are still a cute boy, and she takes the opportunity. Monsters in this universe are sort of a inherently sexual species, race. I don't know exactly how you define them because they're so varied. But, you know, she can't help herself. And frankly, I think that's cute, all right? You know, she's a woman that's usually in control of a given situation. The fact that it's possible to make her lose control, sort of lose her inhibitions, I guess, and put her in a more uncomfortable position, I think is super cute, which I don't want to go into detail of what it entails, but it's also the reason I very much enjoy her dynamic with Alma, especially in Chapter 3 when you see their private duel. It's just a lot of things that I think make Rondaria extremely cute. But it's all because, and it all, I guess it doesn't all add up to it, but if you read the encyclopedia of the game, you'll find out that Granberry thinks she's sexually inadequate. So she gets sort of angry during sex and thinks like she's not doing good enough, which gets her kind of aggressive. And I understand why she thinks that, you know, she doesn't exactly practice as much as everyone else. But again, that sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? I already used inadequacy. That uneasiness, unsure. I don't know how you describe it, but again, it's that adding into out of her comfort zone thing that I already said I liked, and it's more of that. But just in case you were worried, another encyclopedia entry, or maybe the same one, confirms that her fears are unfounded, and she's actually really good. So, you know, that's a plus. Not saying I want someone who's terrible with sex. It doesn't really matter to me, but it's nice to have confirmation that she's actually good. But the fact that you encounter her all the time in a purely combat focus means that she serves as a benchmark. Every time you encounter her, you've got more HP, you've gone up a bunch of levels, you have more HP, you have more skills to use. So every time you fight her, every fight is different, and it serves as a good reminder of how far you've come since the last time you saw her. Like the first time, you can't do anything to her besides demon decapitation to instantly end the fight. Next time you fight her, you just have a couple more cursed sword techniques, nothing too special. But the third time you fight her at the gold volcano, then you suddenly have like 2 spirits or 3. You might have 3 spirits by that. Yeah, I think you do. I think Salamander's the only one you don't have yet. You've got 3 spirits, you've got a bunch of techniques. So you're suddenly realizing why Grunberry is putting so much faith in you, because it's true, every time she sees you, you're just so much stronger, and your potential is limitless. And it leads to some very good fight scenes. Like the third one in the gold volcano, despite the fact that it's not your final fight with her, is probably the best one, just because the anime fan in me loves the way it ends. Like she uses her ultimate technique, the vaporizing rebellion sword, which is like a flaming flurry of a bunch of sword attacks. And you have to use your own flurry sword attacks, Death Sword, Chaos Star. Yes, I do know these names right off the top of my head, because it's cool. And you have to there's basically just a rapid fire of a bunch of sword attacks swinging against each other. And you're on the receiving end, because your move isn't as good as hers, and you're just not as good as her yet. But, I have to chew more of that off, sorry. But it's just a cool, anime scene. And I honestly really makes me wish, if Monster Girl Quest got an anime, even if it had to be censored, really badly to cut out all the sex scenes, honestly, I'd still watch it. It would still be really good, because I mentioned the story is already amazing. And every time you fight Grunberry, every time you prove to her that you are becoming more and more of a warrior, she grows to respect you. She starts off saying, if you're going to stand before me, I'm going to treat you as a warrior. And she never goes back on that, and that's always nice. It is sort of an honorable thing to do. But as you continue to prove yourself more and more to her expectations that you're becoming exactly what she wants, it's not just a desire for her to fight you. It sort of develops into a crush, I guess. I feel like this thing's falling off. But it's kind of subtle. During most of the original encounters, I honestly sort of saw it just because I wanted to see it. But if you don't, then it's sort of easily missed. But by the end of the game, it is pretty clear that throughout the course of the game, Grunberry has slowly been falling in love with Luca. And that's cute. It's really cute. Honestly, I think her and Alice are really the only ones that have that love, instead of just hey, you're a good you're a cool guy and you're really cute and I want to have sex with you, that you'd get from any of the other major monsters. It's the only one that really develops into full love, and that's just a lot more appealing, a lot more fulfilling, in my opinion. And I already mentioned that she's the only one that really doesn't see you as a plaything, Even compared to Alice, who is the main girl and the one that Luca canonically marries at the end of the game, even compared to her, Granberria is the one that much more treats Luca as an equal. In a sense, the game very much does play with the fact that the women are more powerful than the men, to put it lightly. So no matter what, Luca's always going to be on the receiving end. He's going to be the catcher, as the popular term goes. I don't know why so many sexual terms have to do with baseball, like pitcher, catcher, the bases, playing for the other team, I guess. That's not specific to baseball, but it's a weird thing I've never really understood. So it just, I don't know how to say it. This is really more my personal taste, but it paints Granberria in a less vice, less base way, a little more of a traditional romance, which I'm honestly a romantic, so this is the sort of thing I do enjoy. And there's a nice little thing. That's too long to write down, I'm not going to bother. Another nice little thing, she doesn't require Luca to be perfect. Like, you lose to any monster in the game, they'll be like, oh, you didn't live up to my expectations, what a weak boy you are. And then they'll do what they want with you, you'll disgrace the goddess. You may get eaten, which thankfully you can turn off the voice scenes in the game. They always give you the option to do that, and yes, please do. And Granberria is honestly mostly the same way. You lose to her in the first fight, she's like, you were a waste of my time, get out of my way. She goes to break your spine. Then she sees she can have a little more fun with you, and then she's like, okay, bye. I'll let you live, bye. And she mostly does the same thing in the second fight, and the third. The third, you're always destined to lose. But she still, if you lose the canonical way, then she'll just sort of leave you alone. Oh, so something outside. But what I like is during the fourth and final fight, if you lose to anyone else, any of the other three Heavenly Knights during that final fight, the boss rush, even though the new bosses, whatever, I don't care, the gauntlet, put it. Most of them will just, they'll just be like, oh, you didn't live up to our expectations. You can't bring coexistence as weak as you are. And Granberria probably says something similar to that if you lose to her, but since she's the final of the Heavenly Knights, that means that you got to the Monster Lord's castle, you beat the other three, you fought her, you fought her on equal terms. She doesn't hold back during that final fight. So even if you lose to her, she says, like, all right, you lost to me, but you came this far. You were this good, and honestly, that's good enough for me. And she makes you her lover, which is, I like the fact that she doesn't require you to be perfect. She's okay with the fact that you didn't go all the way because, goddammit, you got this far. And you know what? That's a nice thing to do. That's actually a very nice thing to do from a woman who basically knows nothing but battle. It is really cute. And yeah, she only knows battle. So anytime she tries to do anything outside of combat, she's pretty awkward about it. It can manifest as simple things, like there's the point where they have to shut down this generator that's limiting, I think it's the one that limits the spirit's power, or maybe it's the one that seals Alice's power. There's two separate seals in the game. I think it's the spirit one that, like, there's 4 towers across the world, and each of the 4 Heavenly Knights have to go there and insert a disc to deactivate it at the same time. And it manifests itself simply, the awkwardness. Like, when Granberria first gets the disc, she sort of, like, slips with it and drops it, and honestly, I was sort of worried she was going to really badly scratch the disc with her, frankly, uncomfortably large claws. Like, I didn't notice it for the longest time, but if you look at her official art, her claws are, like, really long and spindly, and it's weird, and I don't like it. I like to think that's not actually how they are, but it's the official art that's in the game, so I guess all the fan art that I find more appealing is wrong, along with the muscle thing. Sometimes you just have to accept fan as your own. But even outside of that, she's not, as I said, she's not exactly very good in the bedroom. She is very good, but she doesn't act like it. And then at the end of the game, during the epilogue, when every monster is trying to seduce you as a test of character, apparently Granberria was sort of against the idea, like, I'm not going to play your little game to see if he's good for Alice. But I don't know. I think she did enjoy the opportunity to like honestly ask Luca, like, do you want to when you meet up with her? She phrases it like, do you want to go have a sparring match? And frankly, that is what it is. It's not a double entendre. It is actually, let's go to the Monster Lord's castle and fight. But clearly it's disguising her true intentions, because if you say no, like you're supposed to, then she'll be like, oh, okay. And then she starts taking out her aggression on all the soldiers she's training. It's sort of a tsundere moment, I guess. And frankly, I'm honestly a little sick of tsunderes, but it's a very minor thing, so it doesn't honestly bother me. And I feel like there was some other point that I wanted to say. Oh, you know what? Actually, one of my favorite moments. There's a part in the game early on where you go with Sarah to the Sphinx's temple to get the dragon seal. You pass the trial to get the dragon seal, which dragons require. Like, you have to have this seal to marry them. And you're going with Sarah because she wants it, because she wants to marry Granberria, a woman with good taste. It's a funny thing, like, my top 3 favorite girls from Monster Go Quest, Granberria, Sarah, and Salamander, all have something to do with Granberria, so isn't that funny? But because you went through the trial too, you get the seal too. And during downtime at the castle, where you can just see what everyone's doing, and you get to see Granberria in casual clothes. They're kind of weird clothes, but they look nice. No, they don't actually, but either way, it's a nice little thing. You can show her the seal and just be like, hey, what is this? I don't know why he doesn't know, but I guess he just wants more details. And Granberria is like speechless for a second, and she's like, don't show that around dragons unless you want them to get the wrong idea. I always like to think that for a quick second she got the wrong idea. Like, she saw that and was just like, oh, is he proposing to me? Oh man, I don't know what to do. And then she knows that he was looking at her blankly. And she's like, oh, he's just asking a question. And I go to imagine she was sort of disappointed about that. And it's awkward and it's cute. It's puppy love, which is great, because I don't know if that's a common thing, but this game refers to dragon kids as pups. So it all comes around. That's all the notes I have. So it's not exactly the most comprehensive list, I guess. I don't know how long I've been doing this video, how long compares to my other ones. Might be shorter, I don't know. But I just wanted to explain why I think Granberria is so good. And I think all the reasons here are pretty good indications. Now, this isn't quite like the Noe video where I'm actually trying to convince you of something. This is more like the Aqualung one where I'm just here to say, like, yeah, this is what I think. I just wanted to explain why I think it. And if you agree with me, then that's always cool. But I see plenty of people in comments that are like, yo, I think Tomomo's better. I think Almelma's better. I think Alice is better. I see plenty of that. I see people that think Ilias is better. And that one I just don't understand. But there are still plenty of Granberria fans out there. And I just wanted to sort of put into words why we love her. Because this isn't exactly a game you talk about in normal conversation. My hat's falling off. Whatever, the video's almost done. Probably gonna fall off. It'll be symbolic. I'm shedding the bonds of my pseudo-intellectual discussions. And honestly, I just want to end the video. If you haven't played Monster Go Quest yet, honestly do it. The gameplay isn't that good, but it's not terrible, and the story is so fucking good, If you gotta watch a Let's Play, there's one out there that censors everything, so it can get onto YouTube. So that's always nice, but I think it's always better to play a game for yourself. Just play it in a locked room. Like watching my videos. Don't let anyone know you actually do it. They will be ashamed of you and disown you from the family. But fuck those dragons, man. In the good way.